And now joining us to discuss this is Bolu Michael-Biyi, a foreign policy analyst joining from Lubamba in Eswatini. Thank you so much, Bolu Michael-Biyi, for joining us. Let me start by asking, Trump has presented himself as a global deal maker capable of ending long-running conflict, and we even saw that recently with Nigeria. But many of these agreements, like Thailand, Cambodia, or Eastern DR Congo, are already unraveling. Are these failures the result of flawed diplomatic design, or do they reveal the limits of transactional peacemaking by Trump?
All right. Thank you for having me. First, I'm going to say that, okay, is Trump really who he says he is? Is he a deal maker? The truth is, yes. Is he a peacemaker? Yes, it's true. But what makes him controversial is his method. However, the fact that his method is not a popular method does not mean he's effective. You know, there's no country that will have everlasting peace. We've seen from DRC to Ethiopia to Afghanistan, countries that were, at war, they became peaceful and then went back to war. So there's no deal that will promise everlasting peace. And the fact that he's not having immediate peace in that particular country does not mean he's not working, does not mean that it's not in process. For example, if there's a peace deal and they've been having, let's say 10 bomb strikes a day, then over time it reduces to 50, then 20. That's how it is. It has to be gradual. So the fact that there's still, residues of conflict here and there does not mean that the peace deal is not working. It's an indication that it's still in process. And there's no peace deal that is not transactional. We've seen that happen. It's not Trump will be the first person that will be having a transactional. We saw that in Afghanistan with President Obama. We've even seen that in Nigeria as a case study. We had the bombing of the blowing of our pipelines down south, and during the time of Yadra gave amnesty, there was peace, and then the government tried to wean the bandits from the benefits that we're getting, and then Asari Dokubo came up again and started threatening the government, and then the area became unsettled again. So there's really any peace that is not transactional, and I would like to. A lot of people I know do not like Trump, but I would like to give him some grace and some time to actually see how his methods will pan out. His methods are not wrong, in my own opinion, if it has a medium or long-term plan to tackle the root causes. I am of what the school of thought that war is expensive and so is peace. And whatever we have to pay for that, for us not to have people dying, then it's really worth it. So I feel Trump should be given some time, and let's see how his plan would unravel.
All right. I hear you, but then again, analysts have tried to spot the flaws in the difference in method by Trump. You did mention that his methods are not necessarily wrong, they're just different. But then, Trump's peace initiatives relies more on U.S. leverage, economic pressure, and trade threats, and we've seen a lot of that, than on long-term conflict resolution. So how sustainable would you say that the peace would be when it is actually anchored on coercion, rather than consensus building among the parties involved? Because it feels as though every time he attempts a peace deal between countries, it feels more like a threat, and it's like take it or leave it approach.
No, okay. Yeah, I have to agree that, it comes across that way. I do not support coercive peace because, these things are deeply rooted in things that have been for generations. It's not going to just disappear overnight. You still need to tackle the root cause. So yes, his approach could be seen as coercive. When you force parties to stop fighting, what happens when he leaves office? And when there is transactional, it leads to a level of dependency and entitlement. As I mentioned earlier, the case of Niger Delta, started threatening the government. That's entitlement. They started relying on government. When they pulled off the benefits, it showed that they were depending on it. So there has to be consensus building to create ownership of any peace process. And this comes when parties negotiate their own terms. And the peace is being debated in the local context, when they're able to make compromises and choose and build trust through dialogue. That's what happens. And we saw that we've seen that it's possible, for countries to actually get to that point, no matter how deep their grievances may be internally or with another country. We saw that in the dating accord, that ended the Bosnian War in 1995. There were power sharing agreements, constitutional reform, international monitoring that address deep-rooted ethnic issues. We also saw that in Kenya, even for political matters between the late Raila Odinga and I think Kenyatta also. So it's possible. We just need to actually bring people together and let them discourse, let them dialogue, and lead the root causes. So I'm not supporting any coercive method of peace building. I still believe very much in the traditional diplomatic process.
Okay, but beyond the coercion, let's also talk about the longevity of this, peace agreement or peace attempts, if I should put it that way, because in the Thailand-Cambodia case, for example, trade pressure was a major tool in securing the ceasefire. Now, does the use of economic threats to secure quicker agreements risk incentivizing fragile, short-lived deals that collapse as soon as external pressure, dampens down? So at the end of the day, after all of the threat, when the pressure has softened, what is the guarantee that the peace deal will last long?
Well, there are no guarantees that any peace deal is going to last long. Even when we see the case of Russia with Ukraine and other countries that were, they agree, even Israel and Palestine, they agree to a ceasefire and you see one party breaking it. So no matter what the negotiation or the method is, there are no guarantees that the parties will actually stick to their own side of the deal. But economic threats are, they're not conventional method of having peace, because leaders have learned that they can sign peace deals, get immediate benefits, like trade access, aid, and all that, and then quietly, they will wait for the deal to collapse, and they will ask for more. So they are kind of exploiting this method. So it becomes a performative or window dress peacemaking. We all show, all theatrics, looks good on TV, but no substance. And that's the problem with Trump's approach, because his methods are very temporary. And some of these conflicts, they have been for so long that they can be termed to be permanent. Some have even given up that there will ever be peace in certain countries or between two nations, because even children that were not part of the conflicts, they learn about it in school and then they carry the grievance that never experience. Some things are deeply rooted. So Trump's methods are very temporary, and it teaches a bad lesson to other conflicting parties that if countries can just see that signing deals can get them personal benefits and trade deals, then and there's no repercussion for breaking the agreement, then they will do sign anything, get the benefit, ask for more, and then move on. Yeah.
All right, Bolu Michael-Biyi, before we let you go, and for want of time, we'd just like to get your final thoughts on this regarding the peace deals that has been signed across the world and how long they would actually last with this method of Trump's.
Well, it's time will tell. Time will tell. Like I said earlier, that most deals, I believe that most peace agreements are very transactional. You have to give something to get something. You have to give up to go up. That's just how it is. Each party, each warring party, they have their own interests. We have to meet that interest. They have to compromise. Somebody has to let go of something. Somebody has to get. So it's transactional. So it's only time that will tell how effective Trump's method is going to be. And I'm of the opinion that it's only a good method if it has in the medium, fine, we have short-term method, but if the medium term is to sort the root causes, then Trump's method in my opinion, it's a valid one, minus the coercion or threats, of course.
All right, foreign policy analyst Bolu Michael-Biyi, thank you so much for lending your voice to this very important conversation. He's joining from Lubamba, Eswatini. I appreciate your time with us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
An absolute pleasure. Now,